All right. Hello and welcome to the Word Power Writers Workshop. And I'm super excited to have author Marlea Braggerly, aka Mo Fantastico, here with us today to share a little bit about her journey as a writer before we dive into the workshop portion. So welcome, Marlea. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, everyone.
And fun fact, so Marlea actually used to be my boss back in the day at a job neither of us liked very much, but that's history. So so glad to be here sharing this creative process with you now. I would never have imagined, way back years ago that we would be here. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to dive right into the questions for you. So when did you first start writing? Was there someone or something that happened that inspired you to start writing?
Kind of twofold. So my interest actually started when I was in fourth grade. I remember we had this project that my school teacher, Alice Brown, wanted us to do, and we were to write our own original kids story, and we were supposed to be partnered with like a little kindergartner, and we were supposed to read that story to our kindergartner partner, and that's, I don't even remember the story. I have no idea what I wrote. What I do remember though is that little kid sitting on my lap and just being so enamored by what I wrote and just finding that joy. And she just loved it so much that at first I thought it meant that I needed to be a teacher and that I wanted to be, Alice Brown, my school teacher. But then I realized that that wasn't the case, that's definitely not my path in life. But I realized that just inspiring people and giving them that joy was what I was really after. And the fact that I could do it, simply through like a kid's book, a kid's story was really just kind of freeing and enlightening to me. And so I didn't really know the impact of that moment in my life until I got a little bit older, and I started to think more about what I wanted to do, what meant the most to me in life, what I wanted to kind of see and put out to the world. And the second part of what really inspired me was, what I was going to write about. Growing up in a very strict religious family, not having that open communication about certain subjects and being made to feel bad about a lot of things in life, that were just natural, definitely affected me. Clearly I'm tearing up right now. Definitely affected me on a level that just kind of struck a chord for sure. And I just really didn't want other kids to experience that as much. I wanted to be at least a facilitator and kind of a conduit for those conversations between parents and children to be more open, to be more free, to have humor to them, to make them a little bit lighter for the children because they're already nervous about them and the parents are nervous. And just really kind of facilitating that gap between parents and children, even though I don't have any of my own. It's something that I really felt was kind of lacking in a lot of ways, for the family. So being able to kind of do that in a more humorous, fun way, it was cathartic for me. But at the same time, I really feel it kind of bridges that gap and helps families to start that conversations, those more intimate, hard kind of conversations that parents need to have with their children for them to feel secure and capable and accepted.
I love that. I love the whole the backstory of you being in fourth grader Marlea, and yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. And also I was just wondering, like, I know, like, as a writer, something that I've struggled with, and I know a lot of other writers can struggle with, is like finding that time to really carve out, time to write and show up, and finish things. And do you have like when you were writing your books, do you have like a writing practice or a schedule that you try to adhere to, or what was your process like?
So a lot of times I would get inspired. Like for my first book, you know, Pat's first Pube, I had kind of this little 4 to 5 sentence kind of thing that kept going, sing-songy kind of poetic kind of thing going through my head. I couldn't get it out for a year. I actually sat on that phrase and those couple sentences for a year before I did anything about it. I'm a little slow sometimes. But once I made the decision to write that book, I would kind of combine some of my favorite things to do. That way it didn't feel like I was giving up any of my time and my activities, because I love sitting at coffee shops. I love observing people. I used to sit and read at coffee shops. So instead of reading, I just switched it out with writing and illustrating. And so that way I wasn't really taking away from any other activity that I really enjoyed, sitting at a coffee shop and getting out and doing that. But I just kind of enhanced it and integrated it into my process. And that's what kind of helped me, you know, so it wasn't really a trade-off in time. I was just enhancing the time that I was already utilizing.
I love that. And you know, oh my gosh, I remember running into you at Kona Coffee and Tea and seeing you working. And so
Yep.
that's pretty cool, seeing you in your process. I love that. And do you, kind of going along in that same vein, do you have any like words or of advice or words of wisdom for aspiring writers or people that are working on a writing project right now?
Um, it's the same advice I really need to actually give to myself right now is, you know, there's inspiration and then there's the work, you know, and if you're always waiting for yourself to be completely inspired every single second, every single moment of the process, you probably won't finish. You know what I mean? There are some aspects that are work, you know, and things that you really have to mentally kind of overcome with your, for me, my idealistic nature of I need to be inspired, I need to be passionate every second of every moment, otherwise what am I doing this for, you know? And kind of getting beyond that idealistic nature is difficult for me, for sure. So just realizing sometimes that, you know, you got to set aside that time, get into the habit, like anything, you know, habits are good and bad. You know, they have their plus and minuses, but ultimately you get results if you create a pattern. You get results if you continue to kind of just move forward, even if it's just one little thing. That was kind of my goal. And I know a lot of other artists and writers will say this, like, just do one thing a day, just do one thing a week, you know, and then that way you're still making that forward progress. Some days you're going to spend 10 hours writing because you're super inspired and you're in the zone, you're feeling it. Other days, you know, you got things going on, you've got other things in life, you know, that come up, but just do one thing, you know, even if it's just, you know, a minute. That'll bolster that confidence and keep you moving at least forward. And that's really the main thing for me is that forward progress, you know. And I've had this little expression in my mind that I can't get out lately, and it's don't allow perfectionism to get in the way of progress. And that's something that I think even as artists, like it's a really good thing to keep in mind, just that forward progress, and don't allow that idealistic perfectionism, like it has to be this way. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be this way. You just need to do something that moves you forward.
Well, thanks for that. I'm going to write that down. Don't allow perfectionism to get in the way of progress. Definitely a recovering perfectionist myself. Guilty. Thank you so much. I just love everything that you shared. And I want to just take a moment to, before we move into our writing portion of the workshop, just to share, I'm going to put the links to your 3 awesome books in the chat here. If anyone wants to check them out, they're available for sale on Amazon. So check those books out. You can also search for her on Amazon. Her pen name is Mo Fantastico. Find her that way as well. And yeah, thank you so much for being here with us today. And it's been such a privilege to watch you grow and evolve as a writer and artist. And I look forward to seeing more of what you create over the years.
I feel the same
Yeah.
about you, and I being able to connect with you, even though we're like 2 doors down.
Yeah, Marlea's actually my neighbor. So it's like, oh, you know, she's like I could like throw a rock and it would hit her. All right, well, I'm gonna stop the recording now.